All right, you guys, we are back and we're live. Welcome back to our weekly live feed. As everybody's getting logged on here, I am live on both Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you're joining on Instagram, head over to YouTube or Facebook. It's a better experience. You'll see screen shares with pictures and all that kind of fun stuff. You can't do that on Instagram. So if you're on Instagram, you're just going to see my face. So if you're logging on YouTube or Facebook, type into the comments, tell me where you are logging on from. Let me know where you're coming in from. What's up? What's up? And you're welcome. I love doing these, so I'm glad you guys enjoy them. I like to do the pre-recorded content, but I like to do the lives because I get to have a conversation with you guys too. So that's always fun. I always get to get your questions, your comments, your feedback, that kind of thing, and I can address them too. We've got Wisconsin, we've got Canada. I know we've got Lexi in Tampa. Where else we got people coming in from? Texas. We got a show out there in Texas this coming weekend. Let me show our sponsors while we're getting everybody on here. So channel sponsors, we have Liquid Sun Rayz as our YouTube channel sponsors. Go check them out. That's the QR code there for you, but the link is also in my description box on YouTube. The code is cuties15. That gets you a discount on everything that you need from them. Everything from your makeup to your skin prep to your tanning for the show day, all that fun stuff. So go ahead and give them a quick, I was going to say follow, but that's not follow. Go check out what they do because they're the best tanning company out there. I've only worked with them for the last 15 years. So, there's that. And then we have Prozis as our channel sponsor as well. They are basically like the Amazon for sports nutrition and all that. So go check them out. Cuties10 is the code there. If you follow me on Instagram, I post all the fun foods and supplements and all the kind of stuff that I do use from them on a regular basis. So check them out. They got some really cool stuff there. Let's see. We've got another Canada. Driving to my new home in Tyson's Corner. Oh, okay. All right. You're right down the street. Tyson's Corner is like 40 minutes from me or so. That's where we host Cuties every year, which, by the way, we are looking at venues for this coming year. So we just started doing that. Actually, we got a bunch of quotes in today. So just watch for that. Watch for that. All right. So tonight's live feed, now that we've talked a little bit, we got some people on. We are going to go over three of the 4 pro shows from this weekend. We don't have any pictures or anything like that up from Sharu, so we're not going to go over Sharu. Lisa Reneth, I can't pronounce her last name. She did win it though. Predicted she likely was going to. She placed top 5 in New York, so she is one that's from Europe. But tends to do decent when she's here in the States. Not winning shows here in the States, but we figured she would probably be towards the top of the pack. So she did win Sharu. We just don't have any photos or anything like that to go over. Now I will say that the coverage as far as like photos and stuff like that for the shows this weekend was a little bit weak, other than DC, which I was there in person. So I can speak about that one pretty in depth. If you guys did not watch, I was on the live stream commentary for that show. So I've had a few people ask me if there's going to be replays, and I don't think so. I don't know if you bought the live, I think you might be able to watch the replay, but as far as like watching it after the fact, no. I know that every year what they do is they take clips from the live stream and they do put them onto their YouTube channel. Like to highlight the winners and things like that from the pro shows and stuff. So they will have clips up, but I don't think they'll have the entire live feed up from DC. So the cool part about what we do with the DC Pro-Am is they do full commentary for the entire show. So it's not just the pros that we commentate for, it is the NPC as well. So, it's unique because as an NPC competitor, you're getting live critiques on the live feed. So, myself and Leo, who's my co-host, we are both pretty well versed in this sport. So I think we do a pretty decent job and keep it entertaining. At least we try. It's, you know, a 10-hour day of talking. So it gets a little bit exhausting. I didn't want to talk for like 2 days afterwards, but you know, we're back at it now. So we're good. But I always really love that. I love doing the commentary. It's a lot of fun. And I love doing it with Leo too, because again, he's very good at what he does as well. He has a background in journalism as well as being in bodybuilding. So, you know, we can talk for hours because we have to. So we're gonna go over the DC program last. So I'm glad you guys learned. That's the whole point. You know, when we, as far as learning on the live stream, we don't keep it too like fluffy. You know what I mean? Like, yes, we want to give people compliments, but we also want to give critiques, things that are going to be beneficial for you as a competitor going forward, like stuff that you can use. So if we talk about you on the live feed and we talk about things that you could do to improve, we have both, like, he's a judge, I've been a judge as well. I mean, obviously you guys come on here on my live feeds, so you know I know what I'm talking about. So so when we do these kinds of things, it is to help you grow as a competitor, right? So you'll know if you're one of my clients or something like that. The stuff that we say on the live stream, that's the stuff I tell you in person, right? As one of my clients, those are the things I tell you that you can do so you can be better. So let's go into, we're going to talk about, where is it? We're going to talk about Mile High first. Okay, here we go. Here's Mile High. What's up from California? So here's the thing, you guys. Clearly, I'm just going to put it out there. This was not a competitive show. It just wasn't. You know, here's the thing. I don't blame anybody for this. We all knew Ashley was going to the show. So, you know, outside of Ashley and Kate, everybody else was masters. Everybody else was masters. Now, I'm not saying that masters is not competitive. So don't get me wrong. I'm a masters competitor myself. I'm in my 40s. But there is a clear difference when we're talking about women that are in their 40s versus women that are in their 20s. It just is facts. And again, I'm not trying to downplay anything about this, but it's very rare that we see ladies that are over the age of 40 getting to the Olympia. It just is what it is. It just is reality. You know what I mean? So I don't want to sound like it's a bad thing, but when we're talking the difference between open competitors and masters competitors, there is a difference. When we are in our 40s, we have had 20 more years in the gym than girls that are in their 20s. It's just facts. You know what I mean? So our bodies are going to look different. It's just true, you know? No, it's not all downhill after 25. We're different. We're just different. It's not downhill. And so we're going to get rid of you. You're in timeout. Bye. I love this. I love this aspect on YouTube where I can block people. So I'm 42 years old. It is not downhill after 40. We just have more life experience. And I'll be honest with you, I feel better now in my 40s than I did when I was in my 20s. However, I am still 20 years older than people in their 20s. It's just facts. It's just facts. Oh no, I'm not playing. No, Ashley is 35. She's turning 36 this year. So with that said, you know, it's just a reality of life. And there is nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? We have 20 more years of experience on this earth, so that we should be proud of that. That is something that we should be happy about, you know, all of those kinds of things. So, right. It's just, you know, like, I'm not 20 and I don't want to be 20 again. Like I was in my 20s. I'm better now than I was when I was in my 20s. I'm just saying, I have a lot more life experience. I'm a lot smarter now. I don't do stupid shit that I did when I was in my 20s. So ladies who are in your 20s, it gets better as you get older. I'm just saying, it gets better as you get older. So, but going back to that, there's a reason why we have masters level shows when we're talking about the difference between open and masters, right? So there's a difference. There's a difference in the physiques. We look different as we get older, right? So it's just facts. Not trying to downplay it. It's just the truth. So when we look at the girls that were in this show, you know, I have this page up for a reason. Look at the placings. Okay. So we have Ashley in first. We have Kate in second. Sue is in third. She won Masters. We have Elizabeth Angel, Elisa Angel, whatever. I'm sorry, pronouncing the name wrong. She was in second in Masters, right? We have Amanda in fifth. She was third in Masters. You know, we can go down the line here, right? So the girls that were placing well and open were winning Masters. It's just the facts, right? So these ladies all look great, so don't get me wrong, but this is a theme, and we are going to see this continue to happen because, frankly, open competitors are smart. They're going to go into a show where they feel like they have the opportunity to win. When we're talking about Ashley being in a show, she is top 3 at the Olympia. If I know she's going into a show and I'm legitimately trying to get to the Olympia myself, I am going to place my bets and go into a show where I'm not up against a top 3 Olympian. Period. Done. You know what I mean? Like it just is what it is. Again, I sound like I'm beating a dead horse, but this is why we need the point system back. This right here is why we need the point system back. Okay. I've said it every week and I'm going to continue to say it. This is why we need the point system back. Okay. All right, so with that, let's go into the girls that placed in the top, okay? So we've got Amanda that placed 5th. And again, I think it's phenomenal that these ladies are getting out there and performing. As a 41-year-old, they couldn't pay me to revisit my 20s, right? Seriously, like I don't want to go back to being in my 20s. I'm perfectly happy being in my 40s, perfectly happy. So let's go to Amanda. So again, this is a phenomenal physique for somebody that's in her 40s. Phenomenal. You know, she may even be older than that. I don't know. I don't know how old she is, but she's at least 40, right? You know, when we're looking at this, though, we're looking at some significant density of muscle. When we're looking at her quads and her calves and things like that, she's got more muscle. That's what happens when we get older, right? Now, let's talk about the fact that I can't really critique suit colors and tans at this particular show because the lighting is bad in these photos. It just is. We've got really hot lighting in the center. And then like when they were walking from the back, it's super dark on their faces and then it's dark on their feet. So, you know, the lighting was not great. The lighting was not great. This looks like it's a velvet pink suit. Not a great option, right? And it also, and I can't tell. It looks like it might be an ombre. I wouldn't do that either. If it's not an ombre, okay, sorry, but that's what this looks like from the lighting. But I still wouldn't do the pink velvet here in this particular scenario. I've mentioned this on the DC live as well. I'm not a huge fan of the pink. The only time that I think pink works is if you have a really dark skin tone. But even at that, I don't think it's the best color most of the time. If you are winning in pink, great. Like I think when Maureen wore it, it looked beautiful on her. I think when Erin Stern wore it, I think it looked beautiful on her. But it has to be the perfect shade of pink, right? And it's really hard to pull that off. Overall look is beautiful. I think she's in between posing here. I don't think this is her full pose. Let's see if it goes through. Yeah, she needs to drop her arm a little bit. Needs to open this pose up a little bit. She's really sideways on this pose. I would open the pose up a bit. But again, she just looks like she's got that muscle maturity, which is common of women that are over the age of 40. It just is what it is. Let's take a look at a back shot. Now, again, I'm not a huge fan of these camera angles. They got in really tight on some of these photos, and it just wasn't flattering. So I'm going to try and get to a full length shot for her back shot. There we go. Pretty decent. So back pose, again, we can't see her feet, so I can't critique that much. But to me, it looks like she's sitting down into this a little bit. Looks like her feet aren't quite wide enough. I would go a little bit wider. Looks like they're not quite under her shoulders. So I'd go a little wider here, tilt a little bit more. We don't see a full tie in here, but this could be just her pose. It could be the lighting. Not really sure. Again, it's not the best photo in the world as far as the angle and all that kind of stuff is concerned. So I don't want to critique it too hard, but just looking at it, I would say that she needs to go a little bit more open with her feet. And again, her lower back to upper back is not a great ratio here. I would work on trying to open up that upper back a little bit so that the lower back looks a little bit smaller. That would give her a better overall aesthetic with the shape. But again, I don't want to critique it too hard because this photo is very, very close up, and we don't see a full picture. And again, this is, I mean, that's as good as we got as far as that's concerned. So, you know, again, density of muscle. She has some really thick calves here, that kind of thing. This is what you're going to get when you get into an older age range. Next up, we have Elisa Angel. Sorry, I'm just going to call her Elisa. That's what I'm going to call her. So hopefully that's okay. Again, don't want to critique too much on the tanning because the lighting is very blown out, but this pose could absolutely be improved. She is posing really straight on, which makes her look very, very boxy. She needs to twist this. So the other girl that we were just talking about, Amanda, was posing really sideways. Elisa's posing really, really straight on. And we don't see a very good taper from her shoulder into her waistline. So I'd really like to see her twist this pose. She tends to be towards the top when we're talking about Masters competitors. So I'm not surprised to see her in this position here. She has a good shape, good frame. But this pose needs some work. Shoulder needs some more. She needs more shoulder in general, but she needs to twist this pose. And again, I don't want to critique too much on the suit color or the tan because the photo is very blown out. But you can see she's really straight on. This would really show her glute pop a whole lot better if she twisted into this pose more. Let's see. See if we can get a full back shot for her. That is not close up. So let's look at back shot right here. Okay, so pretty decent back shot as far as how she's hitting it, but I'd like to see her hair a little bit neater on her shoulders. It's covering up her width up here. She is pinching a little bit too, which again is minimizing her width. So all we're seeing is lower body. Again, we're looking at the density of muscle here. She's got some really thick calves. You know, we were just talking about that with Amanda. Same thing here. That's what we're going to see once we start getting into the older ages. Nice full round glutes. She could use a little bit more upper pop, could use more hamstring tie-in. And again, I feel like she's kind of bending into the pose a little bit. Again, a lot of these poses, I feel like she could be hitting this a little bit better. And when we scroll through, it's not that she's like in between poses. She's definitely, that's definitely her pose. So I just like to see her tilt up a little bit more on that lower back, unpinch the upper body, get the hair off the shoulders, you know, all those kinds of things. That would really, really help with the overall look here. I think she has better glutes than what she's showing. Just overall, I think her physique is better than what her poses are showing. All right, and then we got Sue. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. We don't have any history like written here in her NPC here. I was looking at that. I think maybe they spelled her name differently or something, but I believe she has been to the Olympia in the past. But again, she is over 40 at this point. If I'm not mistaken, though, I think she has actually been to the Olympia in previous years. So again, going back to posing could definitely be improved here, right? Hand is covering the belly button, needs to pull that hand back, hit it on the back hip. She needs to stand up tall here. Her arm is sticking out too far. She needs to let it drop down. Yeah, I believe it was under a different name. I think you're right. Yeah, the close-up shots are not good. I'm trying to avoid the close-up shots as best I can. They're very odd. Again, the lighting is really off, so it looks like these girls are all have terrible tans, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's just the lighting of the photos. Not a fan of the ombre suit. I think it makes her look harder than she actually is. You don't want that, especially when you're over the age of 40. Again, density of muscle. She has thick, density in her quads. There's a lot to be desired in this pose. Her waistline looks very thick here. She needs to stand up tall. That would get rid of some of that thickness for her. That would fill her shoulder out. That would make her proportions better here. There's just a lot of little things that these poses would absolutely show her physique better if she posed a little bit better. Let's take a look at a back shot if we can get there. Here's a back shot. Let's do this one right here. So this is a pretty good back shot, but again, she's pinching her upper body. Man, every one of these girls is pinching their upper body. Guys, you want your upper body to be open, okay? She's got great delts. You can see she's got great delts. She's got great glutes. You know, she's got the higher insertions, but she's got enough muscle density there and enough projection that that's showing really, really well. So her lower body actually looks very good here. It's just her upper body needs to open up. If she could open up her upper body here, that would be a killer back shot, right? I would also say she needs to trim her hair just a touch because we're losing her lower back in the back. But if she stood up a little taller and opened her back up, that might not be a problem. Her hair might be okay if she was to open up her upper back a little. I actually think that she's got a great back shot. She's just doing a few things wrong with her posing. So if she stood up a little taller here, opened that back out a little bit, showed that those roundness in the delts, this would be beautiful. Again, really density in the calves, density in the calves, density in the hamstrings, you know, all of that. So, okay, so I knew she had gone to the Olympia in the past. I thought so, but I didn't know what they put her name under. So Susanna instead of Sue. Got it. So again, she's been to the Olympia. A lot of the things that she's doing with her posing looks like old school posing, right? So I feel like she just needs to update her posing. I just feel like she needs to update her posing, and she would look a lot better here. She's actually got a phenomenal physique. She really does. It's just a matter of updating that posing a little bit and updating her suit, that kind of thing. I think she's actually a beautiful girl. She just needs to update her posing, fix the posing, you know? Okay. So Kate has been coming in second to Ashley like every show. So every girl. So as far as the critique about the back shot, every girl's gonna be a little different. Everybody needs to show their physique a little bit better, according to what their structure is. So I can't really comment on that. Now, Kate, man, I wish this lighting was better. To me, again, we're seeing, you know, a really nice shape here. I'd like to see more fullness in her shoulders. I can't really compare this. I can't really compare this too much to her previous shows this year because the lighting is so washed out. But again, we're seeing a little bit more of a petite frame than we saw in the last few girls, and that's because Kate is younger. I mean, it just is what it is. She's got less muscle. And that's the difference between the open and the masters competitors, right? You know, what I've said in the past with her structure and everything like that, her posing and everything that she's been doing so far this year, wasn't a huge fan at the top. I felt like the top made her look a little bit top heavy. Again, can't really tell here with the lighting. I feel like she could still use a little bit of a smaller suit top, just a touch smaller, or just like maybe pad this one a little bit. Looks a little bit big on her is what it looks like to me. But I'd like to see some fullness in the shoulders here. I think we're seeing some striations. We're seeing some vascularity. You know, the pose itself looks pretty good. I just like to see some more fullness in the shoulders. Yeah, again, she's probably going to be second or third this coming weekend as well. You're right. So let's find a back shot here. Full back shot right here. There we go. So I actually think this is probably her best look from behind so far this year. She just needs more glutes. You know, we're looking at the balance. She's got the higher insertions with the glutes, so she just needs more of them. Makes her look a little bit leg heavy here. Still has some nice fullness, some nice pop. She just needs more of it. Upper body's a little bit wonky here. Looks like she's got some impingements probably from posing. You can see her left lat is kind of crunched in versus her right. Her right looks a little bit better than her left. And again, that's probably from posing because on her front pose, she poses on her right side. So she opens up and pulls back here. So she needs to work on some mobility. She's been posing, you know, and competing every weekend. So this is going to just exponentially get worse because it's just, you're stressing your body out. So hopefully she goes in and maybe gets some mobility work done so she can open that up a little bit. I think this is a good package for her. I think in general, this is a good package for her, but it's going to take a lot for her to be able to surpass Ashley. And just like was said here, I mean, she's competing again this coming weekend against Ashley again. So I think she's probably going to be in that second or third place position this coming week. We'll talk about that when we preview the show. Going into Ashley. So Ashley won, which again, no surprise. She's top 3 in the world in, you know, the Olympia rankings. So this is no surprise. And I don't fault girls for not wanting to compete with her either. It just makes sense when you're talking about the amount of money, effort, time, all of that kind of stuff to try to qualify for the Olympia. It makes sense why this is happening, right? Like I said, that's why we need the point system back. I don't think this is full on her front pose. This is just her with the full, you know, the photo full on, because if we go, yeah, she's moving out of it. So if we go back, we're cutting feet off. This is pretty close. We got the feet here. This looks better. I think like she's a little bit tighter than she was in the previous show, because I'm looking at her lower back here. We don't see the film of water that we saw the week prior. She's got a little bit of vascularity coming through here. So this tells me she's a little bit tighter. Again, it's hard to compare this because of the lighting. So it's really hard to compare this to previous shows. She does look like she's a touch tighter here than she was the week before, which I think is a good thing. I think the week before she was inflamed. You know, again, I'm looking at the lower back. I'm looking at the water retention. I'm looking at the suit and how it's fitting and sitting on her. And I think she's tighter this week, which I think is the right direction. I think prior weeks she was a little bit watery, a little bit full. Let's find a back shot. And again, man, they're close up back shots. I really don't want to pull one of those up. I don't particularly enjoy that angle. I hope you guys understand. Man, I mean, we're close here. It's just the angle is so close. So again, I think that this is a tighter look than what she brought in previous weeks, which I think is good. Her hair is shorter here, which I think is also good, but this is a little bit too short. So in previous weeks, you know, for those of you that don't know, Ashley wears wigs on stage. So in previous weeks, her hair was touching the top of her suit bottoms, covering up the top of her suit, of her glutes. Now it's a little bit too short. You know, like if this wig was was straight and not waved, it would probably sit on her a little bit better back here. But now she looks like she has too little hair. So you got to find that happy medium where you're not hitting the lower back. I do like the curls. I think the curls are a little bit better. But it needs to be longer. This looks a little bit sparse. It looks a little bit thin. So I thought Girl Power was one of her best, but she was a lot fuller as Germany is. Yeah, I think one of her best looks this year, honestly, was Pittsburgh. You know, but I just, you know, this was probably better, but again, I can't make that determination because of the lighting. So I'm stuck on that, right? So I don't believe she has extensions. She just wears wigs. She's always worn wigs for years now. She's worn wigs. That's why her hair looks so different every show, because it's a different wig every show. Yeah, so I mean, again, no surprise that she won this show. Wish I could critique it a little bit better, but the lighting and the pictures are a little bit rough. So let's move on. Let's go to Toronto next. So this particular show did not have a lot of big names. But what I thought was interesting, and again, I wish these pictures, when we go through the pictures are pretty, they're decent, but they're kind of far away. They're not real. They're like the opposite of what we were just looking at. But what I thought was interesting in this show is that girls that tend to be in the top call out were towards the bottom in this show. So we look down here in the CU16, we've got Kimberly Bonilla, which I've never seen her in this bottom. I've not seen her there at all this year. So I'm not really sure what happened there. And then like Erica tends to be in the top 5, and she was not. She was 10th here. So this was very interesting to me. Again, I didn't watch the live stream, so maybe if anybody was watching the live stream, you could give a little bit more insight onto that. The photos don't indicate really why that was the case. So if anybody wants to chime in and say what they saw, feel free to do that. I did not watch the live, so I don't know what happened here. That was a little bit interesting to me. And I know Becky was head judge, so it's not like it was some random no name judge. Becky does a good job, so I'm curious as to why they ended up there. But let's go with 5th place, which was, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce her name here. Y'all can see it. That is why I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it, but let's go with 5th place. Let's get a front shot up for her. So overall, pretty shape. I think her waistline's a little bit thick here with her rib cage. So I would say she needs to stand up a little taller. To me, this looks a little bit unbalanced. She looks a little bit bigger on her upper body. Not a fan of this suit top. Her chest is coming out of the side a lot. So she needs to get that remedied right there. Maybe go a little bit bigger on the suit top or something. I don't know, but this is not good here. If she was to stand up a little taller and let this arm relax, her shoulder would round out. She would thin out her waistline a little bit. And I think that would be a much better front pose on her than what she's doing here currently. She looks really lean here, but again, this could be the lighting at the show. Not really sure. She looks kind of hard to me. And she looks like she's got some density in those quads, but very almost like thin and not really full. So I'm not sure. Again, it could just be the photos. But overall, the pose, I would like to see her stand up. I do like the color of the suit, just not the fit. The fit's not great. And let's go find a back shot. From the back, again, she looks pretty leg heavy here. Glutes are full, shape is nice. Upper body's pinched again. We need to open that upper body up. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of pinched upper bodies, and that is really closing off the frame. So you got to get that upper body open. But what I see here more than anything else is I don't see a huge delineation between her glutes and her legs. So I'd like to see this pose tweaked. She does have her feet pretty straightforward, her toes pretty straightforward, which typically that's what you do when you've got, legs, quads that are going to overpower your glutes. So maybe they've tried different positions and they didn't really work. Maybe this is the best that we can get. But this is that you there in the fit body? I don't know. I wasn't even paying attention to an ad. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to that. I was paying attention to the photos. I'll look when I pull up the other screen. I'm not even sure what you're talking about. But I would like to see different variations of this pose, to be honest with you. She looks a little bit hard to me. Again, I'd like to see her a little bit fuller. We're seeing that, those really deep hamstrings here, the cuts here into the V, into the legs and all that kind of stuff. So she looks a little hard to me. Oh, this? No, that's not me. I'm not in this ad. I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. No, I'm not in that ad. Okay, so next we have Alice. I believe, let's see. I think Alice has won shows in the past. Yep. So Alice has been to the Olympia. She does relatively well when she's in European circuit here. And no, I wouldn't say that Becky tends to like a harder look. I would not say that, actually. trying to flip this over. Now I looked through her photos earlier. I thought maybe this was a photo that was like in between and she wasn't quite posed yet, but it's not. This is her actual front pose. So it's not terrible, but I'd like to see her twist her hip a little bit more and drop this arm. I think she's too straight on, and we're seeing a lot of rib cage right here. Overall, she's got some nice fullness though. The difference between her and the last girl that we just pulled up is she does have fullness to her muscle, which I do like. I'd just like to see her push that hip a little bit more, twist this a little bit more, drop this arm. And again, I thought this was kind of in between poses, and it's not. So she just needs to fix this pose a little bit. If you haven't noticed, a lot of the critiques I'm giving this week is about posing. Posing is huge, you guys. Posing is huge. It's so huge. But overall, like pretty look, excuse me. She's got nice fullness. Again, nice fullness to her muscle bellies. The suit and the cut and the color is all pretty. Her face is very pretty. This is a pretty look, right? Her color is pretty. As far as her tan is concerned, is pretty. Let's see. Here's a back pose for you. She needs some density in her glutes. You can see that when we pull that up. So she needs some density in her glutes. She looks a little bit thin from the back. Okay. Her hair is hitting the top of her suit, so that needs to be cut. I would overall like to see a little bit more volume. This looks a little bit flat to me, which doesn't help with her overall thinness from the back, right? Now, again, looking at her, she is significantly softer than the last girl we just had up that was in 5th place. That said, she needs to straighten these knees out. The knees are bent a lot. She needs to straighten the knees out and tilt up more, get some more upper glute. We need some more delt pop from the back. Like she just looks thin from the back to me, right? Her front pose looks so much better as far as muscularity is concerned. So I think a lot of her muscularity issues in the back here is her posing, right? I think it's all her posing. I think if she tilted more, straightened her knees, open her back up a little bit, I think we'd see a much better look from her from the back. So again, posing, and more posing. Next we have Anna. Okay. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not familiar with these girls. Like a lot of these girls I am not familiar with at all. Brand new names to me. So I'm giving you my first blush look. Like I looked at their photos for the first time earlier before we got on this live. So this is a pretty look. Okay. I like her overall shape. I like her overall look. Pretty in the face, pretty color. She needs a little bit more fullness in her quads, but this is splitting hairs here. She's got some lower ab distension here. She's pulled that in a little bit tighter. But she's also, in doing so, needs to be careful because she's got rib cage issues going on. She's okay right here with the rib cage. But when she sucks that lower ab in, that's going to make this rib cage poke out a little bit more. So this is probably her happy medium right here. I'm guessing she's probably trying to fill out a little bit. I do like the suit. I think it's pretty. And I think that she could use a little bit more fullness. In general, I think she could use a little bit more fullness. Her shoulders, her legs, all of that. But overall, so far, this is probably the best pose we've seen in this particular lineup so far. So posing is better. We're getting better, right? Let's get a back shot. This girl's got some long legs on her, but she's got significantly fuller glutes. She's significantly fuller from the back than what we just saw from Alice and what we saw from the girl before that I couldn't pronounce her name. Upper body is better. She could relax her arms a little bit down, but she's not pinching. This is the first girl that's not pinching from the back. So good job on that, right? I think she could probably go with a shorter heel, to be honest with you. I think she's got really long legs. If she went with a little bit of a shorter heel, that would probably be aesthetically a little bit better for her frame, but much better as we're looking at the fullness on the glutes here. Much, much better. We're not seeing super tight hamstring cords here. She's got a little bit of leanness back here, but not too bad. Not too bad. As far as the back pose is concerned, I'd probably trim the hair just a touch, and I'd bring these arms down just a touch. Maybe do some shorter heels, but this is a much better back pose. Again, overall, so far, she's had the best posing in this show so far. Okay. And then we have Cassandra, who just took, what, 3rd in Miami? Yeah, she was 3rd in Miami. We didn't do a whole lot of talk in Miami because they didn't have great photos from Miami either. So let's take a look at Cassandra here. So this is a nice full round look. What I would say with her is, again, we've got some lower abs tension going on. So she's got to be careful with that. She's got to pull that in tight. I would probably drop this arm just a little bit more because she looks a little bit upper body dominant here. She's wider on top than she is on the bottom, but her balance is much, much better. I do like the suit color. I do like the suit cut. I like all of that, but I would take these connectors, bring them down a little bit, and I would bring the lower, her suit bottoms up. She's really low on the suit cut. She needs to come up on that suit cut. That would help with her lower ab extension as well. She just needs to pull it up from the front and probably down in the back. But again, full round. She's got some good upper glute pop here. Just make a couple of tweaks where we're not like looking so broad up top, and pull that lower ab in, pull those suit bottoms up. Back pose. Okay, back pose is again much better. Okay, she's squatting into it a little bit, so stand up a little taller. This is a little bit too much bend in the knees. And yeah, if she was to pull her suit bottoms up from the front, I think they would sit on her better in the back. You can see a little bit of her tailbone back here, the shallowness in the glutes. If she was to pull her suit bottoms down, it would cover that and it would be a better look. But upper body, finally, we don't have pinching in the upper body. Okay, this is what your upper body should look like in your back pose. Much better. Okay. And again, she's lean, she's in shape. We don't see those super hard hamstring tie-in pulls here. Okay, this is good conditioning. This is good conditioning from the back. Again, probably our best poser so far. As you notice, as we're getting higher in the placings, the posing's getting better. The posing's getting better as we go up in the ranks. Okay, I probably still trim the hair. We can still see the lower back here, but I'd just like to see a little bit more. So maybe just again, maybe a U shape here to get that hair. And then if she fixed her suit bottoms, we would see a little bit more skin back here too. And that would be a better look from the back. So just little teeny tiny tweaks with the suit bottom. And then Maxine won the show, which we kind of assumed she was like our front runner. She placed 2nd to Ashley here last year. So we kind of knew she was going to be the front runner here. Suit cut's great. Pose is great. Waistline's nice and tight. Nice. Her overall look is very bright and polished, right? I feel like lately too many girls have hair that, yeah, everybody's hair is too long. Everybody's hair is too long. Trim your hair. Get in your back pose. I've said this so many times. Get into your back pose backstage, and if your hair is hitting your suit, trim it. Trim it. Real easy. Trim it. I did that. I did it myself backstage. I cut my own hair. So anyway, nice and bright color for the suit pop. The suit cut fits her very well. This pose is very polished. She's got that fullness, that roundness to her muscles. She's not too lean. Great balance from top to bottom. Her shoulders are not overpowering her glutes. Like, this is a very, very good frame. She probably could use a little bit more shoulder. She could probably use a little bit more shoulder here. But in general, like, this is a very, very good balanced look. You know, again, I go back to posing. This is a very balanced pose, right? Very balanced pose. The only thing I would probably change in the front pose is filling out that shoulder just a little bit more, just a touch, not a lot, just a little bit, just to match the glutes. And again, pretty face, pretty look, you know. Overall color is very, very pretty, you know. Let's look at her back shot. And here, again, posing is so huge, you guys. I think this is a better shot right here. Hold on. There we go. She's in her full pose right here. Posing is huge. Again, Okay, she's standing up tall. Her back is not pinched. We see her shoulders on the outer part of her back here. Fullness in the glutes, not super tight through the hamstrings here. She's not bent in the knees. Nothing here is wrong, right? Like when you look at her hair, even, this is what I'm talking about. We see a little bit of skin above her suit, and then we see it go into this U shape. So we see the outer part of her lower back. Perfect on the hair, okay? Perfect on the hair right here. We see just enough of that lower back. That's what I'm talking about when we're talking about the hair being the right length. That's it right there. Again, she's got that pop and that fullness in her glutes. You know, probably the critique was to add a little bit more projection into the glutes, add a little bit more of the shoulders, I'm guessing. But overall, this is a great look. You know, she won it. She won the show hands down. You know, there's nobody that really even came close to touching her in this look. Okay, so it's easy win, right? There's no pictures on Instagram, like I've said. You gotta join me on YouTube in order to see pictures. So yeah, I mean, hands down. If you haven't noticed, guys, it's posing and presentation makes a huge difference. Huge difference. Now, overall, her physique is phenomenal too. But like I was saying before, all of these poses make such a big difference in how you actually present that physique, right? If you're not posing right, you can't show your physique right, period. Get your posing on point. Hire me. I'll get you going. Let's see. And then we're going to go and move over to DC, which you guys know I was on the live stream for this one doing the commentary. So I gave you all my thoughts going into it. It was a very competitive show. This particular show, like we've said, the last two, I mean, Maxine stood out like crazy. Ashley, you know, Ashley's Ashley. Ashley, we knew was going to win the show. This was the one show this weekend where it was anybody's game. In that top 5, it was anybody's game. Okay. If you heard me and Leo on the live stream, you heard us talking about these girls. It was very, very hard to choose a winner. Okay. There was nobody that was like knocking it out of the park. Now, what I will say is that as far as presence is concerned, Masa knocked it out of the park with presence. She has some things with her physique she needs to work on, and that's why she did not win the show. But presence-wise, hands down, she killed it. Hands down, she killed it. So let's go into our top 5. Oh, I don't need to do that. I got Emmy up already. So this is Emmy. Emmy took 5th. When Emmy initially came on the stage, I knew she was going to be the top call out. When she started posing, she looked phenomenal from the back. Where she lost a little bit, this is a great pose, right? This is a great front pose. Where she lost it was during comparisons. She started to lose her upper body. Her shoulder, her front shoulder came in. So while this is great, when she was actually in comparisons, she started losing that upper body. So to me, that's what knocked her out of the top 4 and put her into that 5th place spot. And I believe what happened here, you know, her critique in New York, as I mentioned on the live, was that she needed to keep her waistline tight. And I believe what was happening when we were watching her on stage was that she was thinking so hard about keeping her core tight that she was kind of pulling herself forward. So I believe that's what took her from, again, being in the top 4, because especially from behind, she deserved a top 4 spot. But from the front, she kind of lost her front pose. This, great. This is great, but it was during her comparisons is where she lost this. But overall, really, really good look. Had great confidence up there, great stage presence. This top 5 was incredibly competitive with the top 5. Back shot, again, perfect back shot, okay? Same thing we were talking about with Maxine. Her hair, V's in perfect. Her feet are perfect. Conditioning is perfect. Upper body is out wide, perfect. This is a perfect back shot. She looked phenomenal from the back. And again, when we're talking about conditioning, she's tight enough, but not so tight that we're seeing really hard hamstring cords. This is a full round pop in the glutes. She looked phenomenal from the back. Again, where she lost it was during the comparisons and kind of closing off her upper body, which again, I think came from her trying to keep her core as tight as possible from her critiques. This is where critiques can help, but they can hurt too, right? Marie Eve looked good this show. I don't think it was her best. I think she has a phenomenal physique, but her presence kind of lacked for me at this particular show. She didn't stand out to me. She looks to me, her overall physique looked a little bit flat. She's got great proportions and shape. She smiled, which was great. You know, that's been a critique of mine for her in the past. But her tan was a little off. It's a little grayish in comparison to everybody else. Can't really tell here when she's by herself, but when she was next to everybody else, she looked a little bit gray. Nothing really specifically wrong with her physique, right? Nothing really wrong with it. This is a great front pose. She did a phenomenal job with her routine. I just felt like she was a little bit flat, just a little bit off. This wasn't the normal Marie that we typically see as far as overall, you know, just wow factor. Again, nothing specifically wrong. This pose is great. You know, she did a great job with her pose. Did a great job with her smiling, all of that. So again, just the oomph factor was a little bit lacking. Take a look at her back pose. So again, going back to, she has a great look from the back. She can release her arms a little bit. They're a little bit hyped up, but her glutes look a little flat to me, you know? So her glutes look a little bit flat. And you can see like she's missing glaze. We don't have glaze on the glutes. So that could be part of the reason why she looks flat here. There's glaze on her shoulders and looks like there's glaze on her calves, but there's no glaze on her glutes. So her glutes look flat to me. Yes, DC was definitely the most exciting show because it was not anybody. It was not a hands down win for anybody. It was not a hands down win. Even going into finals, I didn't know who was in the first place position. I didn't know. So the only thing I would really change on this back pose as far as her structure of her back pose is bringing her arms down on her legs a little bit. But again, she just looked to me a little bit flat. She looked to me a little bit flat. Nothing specifically wrong. She just wasn't like that pow wow factor like we typically see from her. Like she gave me a wow factor at the Arnold, a wow factor for sure. And I didn't see that here. Then we have Yulia. I thought Yulia killed it with her presence. This was one of the best stage presences I've seen from her, period, hands down. That big, beautiful smile. She added a wink into her routine, which I know people have issues with winks and things like that, but what it did for her was she felt silly doing it. So what it made her do is it made her laugh, like really laugh, which gave you this big, beautiful smile, right? Sometimes you have to do little things that are going to make you do silly things, which brought out her inner smile, right? So to me, this was just a really different presence for her in a good way. Her critique was she needs some more definition in her core, just a little bit of more definition in her core, which has been, you know, her critique has been pretty much that throughout the season. It's her waistline. She needs to make sure that stays nice and tight. So that was her critique here, which I understand. I felt like this was a phenomenal look for her, though. I think this is one of her best looks all season. And I had her winning from the back. So let's pull up her back shot. In the top four, she had it from the back. She had it from the back. I thought Yulia had the best back shot of the top five, or front shot. Yes. I think she was hands down. I felt like she won it from the back. She had the pop, the projection on her glutes. Again, she's not pinching her upper body like some, oh geez, we went real close. Sorry. that was a close up. I was trying to find a better, see if that was a full shot. Again, her conditioning was perfect from the back. She didn't have super hard tie-ins to her hamstrings. She had just enough pop, just enough everything. Her back was nice and wide and open. Again, when we look at her hair didn't cover her lower back. You know, all the things we've been talking about this whole live feed. She looked phenomenal from the back. When you see her next to the other top four, you know, it was lights out from the back. They said that, and again, they said that her critique was her waistline from the front. She just needs a little bit more definition there. Then we had Masa in second. So when Masa initially came out on stage, she was a little bit shaky. She was the first one on stage. That's what happens when your last name starts with an A. So she was a little bit shaky when she came out on stage. But her overall presence when she was in the lineup with comparisons just took over the stage. And it made me forget about the things that she was lacking from the front, right? From the front, she's a little bit hard. She's a little bit hard. She's lacking a little bit fullness in the shoulders. Her waistline is tight. Her waistline is really tight, you know? So there was things that were kind of lacking in her physique a little bit, but I didn't see any of those things because she was so dominant in her presence. Because she was so dominant in her presence, I missed all of the little flaws, right? Masa is 5'10", I believe. I believe she's 5'10" or 5'11". Very tall. She's one of the tallest competitors on the circuit, period. So, you know, I would fill her out a little bit more. She's got very long legs because she is so tall. I would fill her out a little bit more, make sure that her shoulders pop, and then just kill it with that presence some more, right? Where I think personally, where I think she lost it was from the back, because she shook when she walked. When you see her in her back pose, let me get a good full on back pose for you guys. When you see her in her back pose, you wouldn't think that she would shake, right? So she's kind of, this is not fully back pose, but if we go to the next one, it's really close up, and I don't want to pull that one up. But when she's fully in her back pose, she's got really tight tie-ins here, really tight tie-ins. Great projection in her glutes. So that was the interesting part to me, because as tight as she was to the hamstrings, again, when she walked, her glutes shook. So to me, that's where she lost, and that's where she got into second place. How she fixes that, I'm not really sure. Maybe it's just density in the glutes, because if she comes in any tighter, she's going to be way too hard. So I don't really know how you fix that exactly. Maybe with posing. Now, again, she looks like she's bent over here. This is just an in-between shot. If we go to the next one, she's up tall. But it's just, she's up close too, and I didn't want to do that to her. So we don't want to be all up in it, right? I would say she could use a little bit more hair on her back. It's a little bit thin here. So I'd like to see this fill out a little bit more. I think that would help with her overall look with her upper body too, because I do think she's lower body dominant with her glutes. So I think she's going to win a show this year. It's just a matter of she needs to control the jiggling when she walks. And she does jiggle when she transitions as well. So I'm not really sure how you do that other than density of the glutes and maybe some posing tweaks, because everything else is there. Everything else is there. And then we have Tara winning it. So we figured kind of on paper that Tara would be the front runner coming into it. Overall polish was good, but you can see her tan was definitely light. This is the thing with Tara, like her tan is always light. So I'm not really sure what the issue is with that. I don't know if she's been given that. I said this even on the live stream. I don't know if she's been given that critique or not, but she definitely needs to get darker with her tan. When she came back to finals, she was darker, but they didn't rejudge. They didn't rejudge at finals. So she definitely won it at prejudging. Now, when I look at her front pose, it's the most complete front pose, right? The one thing that does happen when she gets next to Masa is because Masa's waistline is smaller. Masa exposed Tara's waistline being a little bit thicker. But when you look at the overall balance of Tara's front pose, it is better. The balance in her front pose is better. I've been very vocal about the fact that I don't like the pink suit. So I'd like to see her with a more pigmented suit color and more tan. Yeah, I'm not really sure what the thing is with her tan. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. It almost looks like she put tan on and went and rinsed it off. That's what it looks like to me. So I'm not positive. I'm not sure what the issue is with the tan, but that's gonna hurt her when she gets into the Olympia if she's not careful, you know, figuring out how to make that work for her. I wish they had rejudged at finals, because she did come back with another coat on, and I would have liked to see her next to everybody again with a little bit darker tone and see if that helped. But they didn't rejudge at finals. They just went straight into awards after presentation. So again, really my critique for her, she's done a great job of bringing the waistline in. I've mentioned this all year. She's done a great job of bringing the waistline in. She's got to continue to do that. Continue to make sure that she exploits the fact that she has brought that waistline in. And then she needs to add some upper glute. From the back, where she beats Masa from the back is, again, she did not shake when she walked. She has the density in the glutes. Masa's glute shape is a little bit better, in my opinion, because Tara needs more upper outer glute. But the shaking in Masa's glutes is what knocked her down versus Tara's did not. Again, perfect back pose when we're looking at the structure of the back pose. Feet are where they need to be, just slight bend in the knees. Great conditioning through the hamstring tying and the glutes. Wide through the upper body, makes her lower back look small. Hair is hitting perfectly back here. She's tilted a little bit off to the side, but almost all of them do that because of their front poses. Where she lacks in the back pose is her upper outer glute. So what she needs to do, she needs to fill that upper outer glute out. That, when she does that, is also going to help with her waistline from the front. She's going to have more glute pop from the front too. So that's going to improve her there. So between now and the Olympia, that's where my focus would be. My focus would be on filling out those upper glutes and figuring out what's going on with the tan. That's the main thing I would focus on for her. But this was a very, very close show. The whole top 5 was incredibly close. To be perfectly honest with you, I would have been okay with anyone in the top 5 being in that first place position. So they gave each other a real fight. They really did, which made it fun. I love shows like that because I love when it's not a clear winner. I love when it's not we know she's going to win. Now who's in second? You know what I mean? So that top 5 was incredible. They all were, every single one of them. And, I'm nitpicking on all of their little things and stuff because that's what we do here. But any one of them could have won that show that day. So questions on any of these shows this weekend. That was a long live feed. That was an hour. I can't believe I've been talking for an hour. My goodness. Any questions? I just love shows that are competitive like that. It was fun. It was fun watching. It was fun watching them battle for that top spot. It really was. Like the whole crowd was into it. You could hear us on the live stream. We were really into it on the live stream. We were really into it. It wasn't, and like, to see Masa come out after being off stage for 3 years and freaking just own that stage was so cool. Like, it was so much fun to watch. I love exciting shows like that. It was so much fun to watch. Any questions, you guys? Anything you guys wanted to add? I'll leave it open for like 1 more minute and then we'll shut it down. And what we're going to do this week, I'm going to attempt to get on for a live on Thursday. All of my new Backstage Pass members, we have our onboarding tomorrow night, so be ready for that. I wouldn't say that Masa's structure is larger because her waistline is super tiny. Her waistline is super tiny. I don't know what Valeria's feedback was. From what I saw, her legs are very overpowering on her overall frame. She's got huge glutes and huge legs. So she's basically the same height as Masa, but Masa is significantly more petite than Val is. I mean, if you look at the first call out, I wonder if they've got this up. Let me see if they've got comparisons. I don't know if they do or not. Hang on, let me pull it up and I'll see if we can show one of these. It's hard to tell because Masa's on one end. Let me see if there's a better shot. Yeah, Val's legs are the issue. Val's legs are the issue. I mean, here's a good example right here. I'll show this one. This is a good shot. All right, so if you look at this comparison shot right here, Masa's in the center and Val's 2 spots over. I mean, you can see the difference. They're about the same height, but Val looks like she's twice the size of Masa, right? So, I mean, it's a pretty big deal. Val looks great for her, but like she's just too big. She's just too big. It's almost like she's in a different division, you know? I mean, look at her in comparison to everybody else on that stage. She's a lot bigger. So, yeah, it's hard. She's got an impressive physique. She's got an impressive look. She's got an impressive physique. But when you see her next to everybody, you can see just how much bigger she is. And especially when you're looking at her next to, you know, Amasa, who is the same size as her, you can see clearly how much bigger Valeria is. Right? So I don't know if you guys can hear that, but my husband just got home. The dogs are going nuts. Anything else you guys wanted to ask? Yeah. So again, Val has an impressive physique. It's just, it's hard not to look at her because she's impressive like that. But she just, when you get her into comparisons, you can see how much bigger she is. So. I mean, she fits the bikini criteria. She's always getting into the top call outs. And when she's in Europe, she wins every show. So she fits the criteria. It's just, it's going to be hard for her when she gets up into the upper echelon of the Olympia. So, I mean, she still was top call out here and she took 6th. So it's not like she's doing terrible. It's just, you know, it just is what it is. It's like when you're getting next to the best competitors in the world, you know. Yeah, I know. I mean, you know, the issue with Ashley, and again, she's just playing the game. Like, you can't get mad at Ashley about this because she's playing the game. She's not doing anything wrong, you know. Where I take issue is that we need the point system back. we just need the point system back. If we had the point system back, it would still make it interesting. People would still want to go up against her, you know, give them a reason to be in those shows next to her, right? But since there's no incentive, nobody's going to do it, right? Nobody's going to do it. I mean, if I was a top competitor and trying to qualify, I would go into a different show, period. You know, it just doesn't make sense. I'm not even going to get points. You know, if I'm not even going to get points, you know, why do it? And again, like I said, you can't fault Ashley. She's just playing the game. She's not breaking any rules. She's not doing anything wrong. She can do what she wants. She's not doing anything wrong. Where the issue is the rules of the game. The rules of the game need to change, right? So with that, you guys, I think we'll close it out for tonight. What I was going to say was onboarding for Backstage Passes tomorrow. We do have the Behind the Bikini on Thursday, so I'm going to try and get on and preview the show on Thursday. But we kind of know what's going to happen already, so it's not the most exciting thing in the world. So if I don't make it, you guys know why. I mean, Ashley's in it, so there you go. There's your preview. Excuse me. I'm almost there with my congestion being gone. My cough is still lingering a little bit, but it's almost gone. It's almost there. And that's it. So it's gonna be a not so interesting weekend of shows. It's just, we came off of this big huge high from DC because that was so much fun and interesting and fun, you know. So if I don't get on for a preview, you guys know why. It's just not all that exciting. It's just not all that exciting. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that, you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And we're gonna roll into next week. And if you have questions for Behind the Bikini, I got a question box up on my stories now, so type them in. We got questions. Okay. With that, have a great night. This was a long one. Thanks for sticking around. I know that next week's preview Ashley wins pretty much. There you go. Chalk it up. Okay, we got it. Oh goodness. Jordan Fisher may give her a run, but I mean, it is what it is. It's what it is. So. All right, you guys, have a great night.